Watching those videos, those horrendous images of young children, young babies, it was the worst images I have ever seen. The best way I can describe it is like asbestos of the mind. Once ingested, never goes away and just rots away for the rest of your life. My name is John Cahill. I joined the police in 1991. From that point onwards, I completed my probationary period and became a fully fledged police constable. Later on, a number of years after that, I then studied to become a detective constable, and until my retirement from the police. Between 2014 and 2015, I was working on an investigation that mainly dealt with child sex exploitation, grooming of young children for sexual purposes. And it was a rather detailed investigation. Started off with something quite simple, a message on a Facebook, which was handed over to us, that then moved on to a rather large investigation, or a larger investigation, when the suspect was arrested. He was remanded in custody. At that point, then we had to kind of work a lot faster. There was a lot of electronic items recovered from his home address. Those electronic items yielded quite a number of indecent images of children and babies. Where I had to review all those images and prepare a statement, prepare a case file to put it before the Crown Prosecution Service. I had to watch those images over and over and over again, so at least the statement could be very precise. I concluded that investigation in 2015. After that point, I felt I did not ever want to investigate any crimes like that ever again. Well, first of all, I'd never seen anything like that before. Although I'd been in the police for quite a number of years, I'd never been involved in such an investigation of looking at indecent images of children. It was my first one. I was very apprehensive about doing that, didn't really want to do it. But it was a case of I felt obliged, but I wasn't given any opportunity to talk about it, to discuss it with my manager or managers. So the images I had to watch over and over and over, because some of them were videos, some of them were pictures, and you have to describe every piece of that image, and for every second of the image you have to describe it in great detail, what actions or what was done to that child. And it was just horrendous. There was images of babies no older than 6 months, and it's just horrific. To watch that over and over again is just terrible, and you felt like you just didn't get any support or any chance to not do it. It was a case of just you were told to get on and do it, and that's it. And I felt just terrible after it. You felt guilty. You just nowhere to turn. It's just like entering a dark room. You just know what is going to happen to you, or where you're going to go, and what you need to do. And it's just probably one of the darkest periods of my life, and that's what it brought on to me, and that stays with me. Once you see the images, you can't dismiss them. They're there for life, and that's the way it is. It was 2016, mid-2016, my partner and myself were looking after a young baby, probably about 6 months old. It was when I went to change the baby, change her clothing, and it then struck me like a rock hitting my head. It was the worst feeling I ever had. I was like I couldn't deal with this at all. I didn't want to be near the baby, didn't want to touch her, totally freaked out. It's at that point then, and it's a trigger point in the sense I had to realize that I couldn't deal with this. It was horrific. The images kept flooding back. I didn't want to be near children after that point. I just didn't want to be near children anymore, and that still remains to this day. Watching those videos, those horrendous images of young children, young babies, it was the worst images I have ever seen. The best way I can describe it is like asbestos of the mind. Once ingested, never goes away and just rots away for the rest of your life. I decided enough's enough. I was gonna, do something about this because I didn't want other people to stand in my shoes and be where I was, and to kind of experience those dark feelings and that horrific feelings that that you were never going to be the same again. So I contacted the Federation, and the Federation then, contacted Slater and Gordon, and from that point onwards, I felt far more secure than I've ever felt in my entire life. It's helped me so much. Slater and Gordon have, just like they put a protective shield around me to make sure that I was listened to. I was able to kind of tell my story, and they've done more for me. Slater and Gordon have done more for me than the medical professionals have ever done, and yeah, amazing work. My quality of life has changed dramatically. It's like my life is finished now. It doesn't have much meaning anymore. There's no getting back from that, and I feel I've become very withdrawn. I'm not as jovial as I used to be. I used to like having a good laugh with people. I just don't feel I can do that anymore. I feel that life is not what I wanted to be for the rest of my life after leaving the police and after seeing those images. It's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. I know that. I have to deal with that. And there are times when you feel, do you know what, just don't want to be here anymore. It's as simple as that, basically, because you feel, what is life worth? It's not really worth very much to me anymore. But what keeps me here is the fact that I have a loving son, loving partner who I would never leave and do something stupid like, but for me it's the only thing that holds me in here, and that's it. But it's the horror of watching those images coming back again and time again. It's just, you feel worthless. You feel, you just feel like the person you weren't, or you didn't want to be, and the darkness, and that's how I feel.